I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and in this 5 on Friday, we're talking about 5 things that you probably didn't know about this business. Now, all of the businesses within our industry run very differently, obviously, but you know what? PhoneDog is a business at the end of the day, and as a result, we have payroll to do, we have budgeting, schedules, things you don't see on camera outside of videos, and of course, the written content that you see on the site. In this 5 on Friday, I'm telling you 5 things about my job that you probably didn't know. So a couple of things. You see my videos and you probably think to yourself, this guy shoots videos all day long, he plays with phones, and it's got to be the perfect job. Well, this is an awesome job, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that you don't see. And I think when you realize these things and you hear the things that I'm about to say, you're going to be like, this is more like a normal job than I ever thought it was. One, and this is one of the top 5 things that I do in my job, one has to do with content scheduling. A lot of you will reach out to me on Twitter or on Facebook and say, hey, why don't you do this video today, or why don't you do that video today? And you know, obviously depending on the way devices flow into the office, that can play a role, but schedules are usually written. For example, my content schedule right now for this quarter is about 2.5 weeks out. So I'm planning for 2.5 weeks from now. So I've got videos planned through about actually the first week of March, if I recall. So videos are planned far longer than you probably think. I think a lot of people think I just wake up and do videos, and that's not the case at all. When you're running a site the size of PhoneDog, or you're running anything that's huge when it comes to an editorial standpoint, you got to have a content schedule. So all of my staff has content schedules. I have a content schedule with video that's actually a little bit further ahead than theirs. So that's something to keep in mind as well, scheduling. Number 2 is office space. I actually work in an office. You can see the office around me right now. This is what I shoot from. It makes for interesting faces when people walk by the door and are like, what are you doing? What are those lights for? What are you shooting? Then I have an opportunity to tell them about phone stuff. But I work a typical office hour day. I work about 7:45 in the morning to 8 o'clock in the morning, all the way up to 6 or 7. That varies depending on what projects I'm working on, so it's not like I wake up in my pajamas. And obviously, like I'm telling you, other sites operate this differently. Other people have different positions. This is how PhoneDog operates. Usually I'll work until 6 or 7, I'll go home, may go for a run, and then I'll go back to work that evening or check emails. Usually evenings are reserved for email time. So that is my general work schedule. So again, I'm in the office all day long just like anybody else. Number 3 is the absurd amount of meetings and conference calls, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that's something you don't see on a regular basis on the site. There's actually a reason why I'm wearing a suit right now. I have a meeting off-site out of the office later on today, and then I have 3 conference calls planned for today. So conference calls suck up about as much of my life as any other position anywhere else in the work world. So conference calls, meetings, those things are part of running a business. Those things are part of making a business development, making money, doing things to grow the business. So those things are things you don't see as well. Number 4 is payroll, budgeting, forecasting, all of that different stuff. And one of the things as part of my job as editor-in-chief, I'm in charge of the payroll budget for the site. So I have a payroll budget for my staff, and I have to forecast quarters ahead to plan for the payroll budget. So I've got a set payroll budget every month. I have a quarterly number that I try to hit. I have a travel budget as well, and I've got to make sure in a quarter like quarter 1, where we got CES, Mobile World Congress, and other one-off events that we have to go to off-site away from Dallas, I've got to make sure that these budgets add up. So it's not just about doing content, it's also about doing spreadsheets and doing budgets and forecasting to make sure that, you know what, quarter 1 is going to be a big quarter money-wise, but we might make it up in quarter 3, or we should make it up in quarter 2, or something like that. I've got to forecast that stuff out and plan ahead. And a lot of this job actually, if you hear kind of a common theme around this, a lot of it has to do with planning ahead, because it involves a ton of planning ahead. I'm currently looking at quarter 3 budgeting right now, if that tells you anything. So payroll, huge part obviously of how our editors get paid, how everybody gets paid within the organization that does written stuff for me, and that's a very important part of my job that you don't see on camera. And last but not least, and you probably have heard about this one because I talk about it a lot on Twitter, the absurd amount of emails that you get on a regular basis. I average between 2 and, depending on the day, 400 emails on a daily basis. And this is a combination of PR stuff and stuff that needs to be responded to, and business deals and opportunities and intern requests and all kinds of stuff that comes through to my inbox. So yes, it's a lot of email. It's hard to sort through. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and that's really why I wanted to do that for this 5 on Friday. I wanted to tell you about some of the stuff because it's a lot more than just standing in front of a camera and doing videos or writing a post for a website. There's a huge amount of business development that goes on behind the scenes, and I'm fortunate enough as part of my role to be able to play a crucial role in building that business development and doing that payroll. That's what I absolutely love about this job. But it's one of those things when people reach out to you on Twitter and they're like, you know what, well, you're in your pajamas, it's 11 o'clock in the afternoon, you're writing your first post or you're doing a video, Those are very important things about the job, and I wanted you to kind of see some of the behind the scenes. So when you don't see my face until 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the website, it's probably because I'm working on payroll, or I'm forecasting for a different quarter, or I'm planning a content schedule, or I'm in meetings off-site, or I'm on conference calls. A lot of different stuff brings this business together, and those are the things that I wanted to highlight in this video. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage. Let me know what you want to see for the next 5 on Friday. Twitter at PhoneDog_Aaron. Facebook, Facebook.com/HiAaronBaker. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here next week.